Thank you, guys. From morning, we have been learning about Deluge and scripts, and I think you might have got a brief idea about what Deluge does and everything, right? So, this session, about 45 minutes, we are trying to understand two major components of executing these Deluge scripts. These are called schedules and custom actions. The first is called schedule scripts. Why there are two different components to executing a script, right? So that's pretty much the question everybody has. Let's say we need to reach a place and we choose a car that we like, right? So let's say we have a Tesla, we have a Ford Mustang. So they have their own priorities and they have their own properties and everything, right? So why do we choose a Tesla? Like it has to go on an autopilot. So that's predominantly why everybody chooses a Tesla. But Ford Mustang, it has its own capabilities, right? So similar to that, schedules are something I associate with Tesla, which doesn't have a human intervention to it, and it executes on a predefined purpose or something like that. You set a destination, and the car gets you there. Similar to that, schedules are something you predefine, and it takes care of it by itself. Whereas the other car is the custom actions. It requires the gear shift. You get my point, the difference between the schedules and the custom actions? First, we'll start off with schedule scripts, right? So, as I already mentioned, it is time-based, or it is predominantly based on a particular report. That's the importance of schedules. I'll give you three use cases, very brief, about where do we use on Creator. Most of our customers use. If there is an invoice that needs to be generated for subscription, let's say you have a rental business and you have to keep generating invoices to your customers. It's something you go every month, create the invoice, click on a button, it generates the invoice and it goes to the customer, right? So why do you need to do all this when you have Creator? Creator sets up with schedules and you need to set up all the steps and it takes care of itself. That's one use case you can do with schedules. The other is, let's say you have a batch processing. Let's say you do stuff for 1 week and you need to accumulate all these things and do some processing on it and find information at the end of every Friday of the week. So that's another place where you use schedules predominantly. The third one is the most used schedule for. Schedules are mostly used for sending out reminders for upcoming events or reminding the user about, hey, you need to fill out this form. All these things are like one-on-one session. I'm not sure if they send out a reminder, they should have, send a reminder, say your session is in 15 minutes or something like that, right? So there are three major types of schedules. One is the form schedule, the other is the report, the last is the custom schedule. We're going to try to build, I'm not sure if we'll have the time to build, but I'll be sharing the DS file with the instruction to how to build each and every schedule, but I'll be showing you how I've built the schedules in this session. Right, there I've considered three scenarios for easy understanding with respect to Karen's cooking class. The first one is somebody registers for a class, so every student needs to be notified 30 minutes before the class saying, hey, there is a lesson that you have registered for this particular instructor. That's the scenario number one. The scenario two is, let's say, everybody have their own big bookkeeper, right? Their accountants and everybody. What we generally do is we pull up all the information, we put together all the things, and we give it to the accountant. Or we add them as a user and ask them to look into the books. There is an easier way to do it where all the accountant needs is the accumulation of all the information and not actually the accountant to be user of your application, right? So how do we make the accountant get to know your information and not being actually part of the application that you have built? The third one is pretty straightforward. Everybody needs monthly reports to understand how your business is doing, right? So it can be weekly, it can be monthly, or it can be an early report of your registrations. In this case, I've chosen registrations because it's very relevant to Karen's cooking class. Based on what I've shown you, there are three schedules, right? Which schedule do you think would be the most relevant for sending out a reminder? It's a form schedule. I'll give you the reason why it's a form schedule, right? Since the lesson times have been stored in the records, only the form schedule knows the information about the start time of the lesson. And the report doesn't have this information yet. That's why we use the form schedule. Now the next question. Now that you know it's a form schedule, which form will this be based out of? We know registrations, we know lesson, we know a couple of other forms. Which form do you think would be the right form to be basing the schedule out of? It's really the lesson form because it contains the start time field and that's what the schedule will be based out of, right? Now we'll try to create the actual schedule that will notify the students about the classes that's going to start in 30 minutes. So before that, I'll just say this is what I've been trying to convey here. So the students are notified 30 minutes prior to the session and the email will include the lesson and the instructor information. If you click on the workflow, you should be able to see forms, schedules, and functions, right? So you can have all your schedules listed in the schedules option, right? And here you have the new schedule option. You have three options here: form, report, and custom. For this example, we are choosing form schedule. Once you have chosen it, you're prompted with two information. So the first is the configuration of what the schedule actually does. As you can see, you give it the title, you give the which form you're really trying to access, what is the exact field that has the date and time information, and when do you want the schedule to start, all right? And there is a repeat frequency also. Once you set up this, next is the what to do part. So it's right next to the when to do part, and here is the Deluge screen, right? What you do is you configure the Deluge script here, and the particular script will be executed whenever the criteria has been met on the earlier screen. So every time a class, 30 minutes prior to the class hits, it will trigger this particular schedule. And what the schedule does, I'll be explaining in detail about it, each and every line, all right? So the first line is for each student in registrations, all right? So what we're trying to do here is loop through all the registrations for the particular lesson. By doing this, we are fetching the information of all the students here. That's the first line that you can see there. For student in registrations of lesson is equal to input.id. This will give the information of all the students in the registration. The second line is the instructor's name. So as I mentioned in our goal, we are trying to mention the title of the lesson and the instructor. So we are trying to fetch record of the instructor's information here. So this will give you the instructor's name. So this is the exact one I have put there. I hope you all know what the input.id is and the fetch record does. I think Dylan would have covered everything. You guys might have a little information about what fetch record does. So this will give you the instructor's name. So the third one is I'm just constructing the message that goes along with the email, right? So I just put a variable like message content, and in this case, I'm putting input.title will give me the title information of the particular lesson with the instructor first name and last name, and I'm saying that it's going to start in 30 minutes. So once I've done all these things, now is the send mail task. Okay, I'll probably in detail. So this is the constructing the email part, where you can see I'm just input.title, instructor name.first name, and instructor name.second name. This instructor name is the actual variable that have been created in the script itself. The next last part is sending the actual email. So when you drag and drop a send mail task, it actually gives you 5 options, not 4. The fifth one is the attachments. In this case, it's not relevant, so I just removed it. So the from is the actual address of the Karen Cooking Class admin user ID. The 2 is student.email. In this case, student is pulled from the registration form. And the subject and message, we have already constructed here. So what this basically does is that whenever the time for the lesson hits it, before 30 minutes to it, there is a schedule that is being configured, and every time an email is being triggered to every student in this particular lesson. That's pretty much what we have done through 30 minutes before the start time. We're looping through every student in the registration form and sending them an email. Okay, the second one is the report schedule. Okay, so the first form schedule has to be associated with some date and time field for it to execute, right? So it has to have some time information for it to actually start up. So what if there are scenarios you need not have any time associated with it or a date associated with it? You go for the report schedule. That's the exact difference between a form schedule and a report schedule. So this is where you're trying to share information to your bookkeeper, in this case Karen's accountant, about information. Let's say the accountant is trying to make a quarterly report, or is trying to make filing for Karen's cooking class. So the information that the accountant is looking for is the revenue that she made for the last year. So instead of making Karen's accountant as the user of this application, what we're trying to do is generating a report based out of 1 or 2 reports that we already have and send it as a PDF to the accountant for them to easily process it. The goal of this particular schedule is to send an email to Karen's accountant about the revenue she's making from each and every lesson. Same way, if you go to schedules, there are like the second option is the report schedule. And here you can input all the information that you require. In this case would be for accountant, right? So let's assume it's going to start from next month, and every month, 10 a.m. on first day of the month, Karen's accountant will be getting an email that will have information about students per lesson. The reason I've chosen student lesson is every student's price, the cost involved for signing up for the lesson is in this particular report. So that's the reason we have chosen student per lesson this. So similarly, you can choose the report that will make sense for the people you're actually sending the reports to. All right. So it's a default message. You can say what it actually contains. Right. So next. So that's how you create a report schedule, is generally sending out the report as such, and we take care of all the formatting, everything, and all the information will be accessible to the person you are sending out to. So the last schedule is the custom schedule. The name might be deceiving for a lot of people, like I got confused a few times. So it's like you do not have a specific date or time or any repeat frequency. That's why we are trying to eliminate a few things that we have already done. And that's the only case when you go for a custom schedule. It's primarily in your hands to understand where a custom schedule depends on. But I will give you a few scenarios we have used custom schedule. It's predominantly to fetch data from different data sources. Like, let's say we have a CRM, we have a webinar, and we would like to make some analysis on all this information, like who and all are attending our webinars. So that's where we predominantly use in Zoho, like custom schedules. And we make Creator as a bridge between two or different multiple sources, and we try to make some information out of it. That's where we generally use custom schedules, because it's not depending on the time or the date and time field. In the case of Karen Cooking Class, what we're trying to do is we are trying to get the monthly report of registrations. Like Karen would like to understand how many registrations happen, like for a particular class in this particular month or in this particular week, probably to arrange for instructors in the coming months, right? So that could be a scenario which is not going to be time bound or date bound. So it makes sense to go for custom schedules. So this is the goal of this particular monthly registration schedule, which will actually send her registrations of every month students that are signing up for her classes. So for creating this, the third option in the new schedule. Okay, so here, so monthly registration. So I make it like from 1st of September, every day at 10 a.m. So it's going to be a monthly registration, right? So the frequency is monthly, and the day of the month is 1. And there might be a couple of questions about this, like say I'm in the 29th of 30th, so will the registration trigger for this particular month or from the next month? I think I worked only from the next month, so if you're doing it for August, the next schedule will be from September and not for the August month itself, because it is already crossed, right? So we will select the particular report for this and send the mail with the particular information, right? This is using a custom schedules. So the report that's being selected here would be students enrolled, which will give Karen all the information about how many students have signed up for the particular session. Summarize what we have done is, in the case of custom schedules, we are trying to understand how many registrations happen for Karen. It could be for registrations, it could be for revenue, it could be for any scenario, but the important understanding here is that custom schedules are not bound with time or date. Now we have covered schedules altogether. Now we're going to the second part of it, which is the custom actions. So as I mentioned earlier, it needs some kind of a trigger to execute, and that's why it's called custom actions. Certain use cases where we generally use custom actions are status change. I will show you with an example how we do a status change. To understand, like, it's generally for the approval process. So if there is, like, say, there like a hierarchy involved and a certain number of people would require an approval to be done, the easiest way to do is associate every record with a custom action. And the particular record can be given access to roles and profiles, which was handled by yesterday's Narmada session, where the person who's having approval, who has to give the approval, only can view the information, and all the other people do not get to see the approval custom action button. Right? This is one scenario. And in case you need to trigger an email for a certain number of people and not to the entire crowd, you can go for custom actions. Let's say I have a bunch of interview lined up, and like I've selected 5 members out of the 45 that will come. I just select the 5 members, the custom actions that have been associated with this particular record, and these individual people get the email trigger. So that's another important scenario where custom actions are used. So we'll try to create the custom action now. I'll be doing it, you can see. So we'll be doing it for the lessons report. So in the you can see after restrict visibility, there is an option called custom actions. So So what custom action basically does is associates a button with a script that you're building here, right? So before this, there is one more thing that needs to be done. In the lessons form, I said about status change, but there is no information about the status in this particular form, right? So what we do is we put a drop-down box and name it as status. And in the choices, make it as active or cancelled. Now we go back to the lessons report. Go to the custom actions and we create a custom action now. So now by default everything can be made active, and let's say we are trying to cancel all the options, right? So cancel will be the first action name, and the next thing you can see here is the display type. That is, so the custom action is essentially a button that is going to go along with the records, right? So there are three options that is given here. One is show the action in the report header. So let's say we have a lessons report. If you want to execute for every record, you put it in the as a record header itself. The second one, it makes sense, right? Show action for each record. So every record has to have an action. You go for the second option. The third one is for the edit menu. It's similar to what the second one does, but you should be able to see it only if you edit it. Then you go for the third option. So in this scenario, I'm going for the second one. All right. So this is a success message. Okay. So every time an action is being clicked, a function executes. That's the concept of a custom action, right? So the function name is going to be canceling the lesson. The namespace is generally a folder where you group all your functions together. In this case, I'm going to make it empty. So there is not going to be any return type in this case, so I'm just leaving it void. And I'm going to pass the ID. The best way to do is to pass actual lessons form itself. That really makes sense. Okay, so people generally pass the ID information for understanding which record is being selected, but in this case we can take the lessons one. Right? So you are given the function option, right? So I'll show the function that I've already built for you. So in this case, I've chosen the ID one, so I'm sorry for that. So here what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to change the status of the record that I fetched from the lesson. So every time somebody clicks on the cancel button, I'm fetching the information about the status of this particular record, and I'm changing the status to cancel. So we assume that it's going to be active for all the cases. So that's the important state that is happening. But we cannot stop there. So there are like a lot of students involved in the class, and we want them to be notified saying that the lesson has been cancelled. So that's the second part of the custom function, like notify all the students in the class saying that your class has been cancelled due to some reason. Now I'll show you the custom action itself. So once I've created the custom action, this is how it will be displayed. The status will be updated for all the records that we have created, and you can see there is an active one and a cancelled one. So this is what we have been trying to create, the cancel button here. So once you click on cancel, you can see the status has been changed to cancelled. So automatically the email will also be triggered for this case, and the students of the particular lesson in this case will be notified about the classes has been cancelled. So this is triggering a script based on the action that we just did now. It's cancelling the session. All right. Similarly, you can have an activate button also in case there has been a change in the schedule, and you can probably activate the same classes similar to this. This is a summary of the record that looks like after we have created the custom action. To summarize what we have done, so we have like three types of schedules. One is the form schedule, the next is the report schedule, the third is the custom schedule. The form schedule has to be associated with the date or time for it to execute. Report schedule, not necessarily. You're just going to be like a batch processing. You will do it at the end of every week or every month. It's depending on the frequency. The third is the custom schedule, which not really depends on the date and time or the frequency, but consider it as where creator acts as a data source, which will pull in information from different sources and need to do some processing on it. You go for custom schedules. And the second part of the script execution is the custom actions. The custom action is essentially a button that is put up with every record or a bunch of records. So if you need to execute a script on a click of a button, you go for custom actions. And on all the scenarios, you have what to do and when to do. And what to do is the script that you're building, and when to do is either a click or a time-based. So that's pretty much my session.